He's building a great MVP case, a really good one. And the question is he the real MVP? Welcome to Refuse to Lose. My name is Joe Jordan. I am your host today. And today we're going to talk about this NBA MVP case between Jokic and SGA. It's a two-man race. And the NBA just did a straw poll, and SGA is still winning in the MVP race. But Jokic made a big case last night. If you tuned into the NBA last night, you saw what Steph Curry did, almost dropping a 50-point triple-double. And you saw what Jokic did, dropping a 61-point triple-double. Jokic last night against the Timberwolves, they lost 140 to 139. And it went to double overtime. It came down to the last wire, literally. And Jokic finished with 61 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. He made 6 3-point shots, and he had 2 steals. Mind-blowing. Crazy. He's building a great MVP case, a really good one. And the question is he the real MVP? Because like I said, the NBA straw poll is saying SGA is a favorite, but should it be Jokic, especially after what happened last night? I know a lot of people say that he lost, which I take a lot of, I believe that's very important that he did lose that game. We see a lot of good performances. When they lose, it don't get talked about. I always bring up Devin Booker's 72-point game. That's almost forgotten unless the anniversary comes around and they show the highlights because he lost. It only really matters. Kobe's 81-point game was great because he actually won the game. So, but Jokic has a big case. This is his case right now for being MVP. Jokic is top 3 in scoring, rebounding, assists, and steals per game, all per game. He's top 3 in all 4 categories, which is unheard of. You never really seen this before. And he's a center, right? He's first in double-doubles, obviously. He's first in triple-doubles, obviously. Right? So Jokic is having a crazy year. Right? Jokic is having a crazy year. But I think that although Jokic is having a crazy statistical year, SGA deserves the MVP. When I look at MVP, I look at what's your record? That's the first thing I look at. What's your record? Are you at least top 3 in your conference? Jokic is top 3. But what's your record looking like? And after I examine the record, I look at the stats. Donovan Mitchell, for example. Great record probably about 2 weeks ago. It's still a great record, but number 1 record in the NBA about 2.5 weeks ago. But his stats did not support his MVP case because he was only averaging 24 points a game. So he wasn't going to be MVP in my book. But a lot of people bring up Westbrook. Westbrook won MVP, but he wasn't winning. He was a 6 seed. Here's the thing. Westbrook was the first person to average a triple-double since Oscar Robertson. Like, in the days that we felt like, oh, nobody's going to average a triple-double. That ain't going to never happen. And when Westbrook did it, people were like, wow, that's amazing because we never thought we would ever see that again. So no matter what, is he in the playoffs? All right, we're going to give him the MVP because this is an historic moment. A lot of people saying that Jokic is having a historic season, but it's crazy. This season Jokic is having is better than the season Westbrook had. It's just that Westbrook did it first, and it's not as it is historic, but it's not as historic when Westbrook did it. That makes sense. Will Chamberlain averaged 50 points a game once upon a time. If there was a 5th or 6th seed that had an individual who averaged 50 points a game, they will win MVP because we will be saying, yo, we haven't seen this. We didn't think it was possible. We haven't seen it since Wilt did it back in the days when the numbers were inflated. So if somebody were to do that today, they would get the MVP. So that's why Westbrook got it. Now, why is SGA the MVP over Jokic? Let's start with the record. Like I said, SGA's team right now, they are 63-12 with 7 games left. They have an opportunity to get 70 wins, y'all. There only been two 70-win teams. If I'm not mistaken, maybe the Lakers did it, but for a fact, the 96 Bulls with the MVP Michael Jordan and the 2016 Warriors with the MVP Steph Curry. So they are like as a team, they're having a really historic season. Jokic and the Nuggets are 47 and 29. That's the first, by the way, OKC is the best record in the NBA. The Nuggets are the third best in the West, but sixth best in the NBA. So right there, SGA got won by a landslide right there. But let's go more further into the record. The gap between Jokic's team and SGA's team is 16 and a half games. SGA's team is leading Jokic's team by 16 and a half games. It's crazy. The gap between the OKC Thunder and the Nuggets is a bigger gap between the third seed Nuggets and the 13th seed Spurs. The Spurs are closer, who are 13th seed, are closer to the Nuggets than the Nuggets are to OKC. That's ridiculous. So why is SGA the MVP on top of the record? He leads the NBA in scoring. My motto has always been this. If you have the best record in the NBA and like best record in the NBA and you are the leading scorer, you the MVP in my book. Unless somebody do something crazy. Now, Jokic had, like last year he won MVP because they had the same record. Although OKC was the number one seed, Jokic and SGA had the same exact record. They were basically tied, and Jokic had a better stat. So Jokic won MVP. That I get that. But this is a 16 and a half difference in games. SGA is leading the NBA in scoring. He's second in steals. Obviously, he has the most 30-point games, 40-point games, 50-point games. He's number one in plus minus, right? So he's the only player to average 30 points per game while shooting 50% from the field, 35% from, by the way, he's shooting 52% from the field, 35% from three, he's shooting 37% from three, and 90% from the free throw line since Steph Curry when he won unanimous MVP. I don't think y'all understand how incredible those shooting splits are for a guard. Point guards don't shoot 52% from the field. They don't do that. SGA is doing that with high volumes of shot while leading the league in scoring. This is unheard of. Like, there are only two guards in the NBA who are shooting 50% or better. That's SGA and that's Zach LaVine. And Zach LaVine is exactly at 50%. Everybody else is under 50%. So I think SGA deserves MVP right now, although Jokic is having an all-world season. But SGA is also leading the league. Jokic stats are better. They're better. Like, I mean, we're talking about he got an all-around stat board. They are better. But SGA is leading the league in scoring while leading the league in wins, and he's leading Jokic by 16 and a half games, which the margin between him and Jokic is greater than the margin between Jokic and the Spurs, who are the 13th seed. They're the last team to not get eliminated in the West. And the margin is bigger between him and SGA. So Jokic is having an incredible season. I know a lot of people would think Jokic should deserve his fourth MVP. If Jokic gets the MVP, it would just say that stats are more important than wins. I like the fact that the voters value wins. I like that because it's an incentive. You can't just win MVP by getting a bunch of stats. You have to win MVP by winning and having stats. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP in my book. Now, things could change. You know, if they go on a losing streak like SGA, I'm not picking SGA because I like him better than Jokic. I voted for Jokic 3 years ago when Embiid had the better record. But Embiid wasn't the number one seed by 16 and a half games. It wasn't none of that going on. They were much closer. I think Embiid was a second or third seed, and Jokic were, I think Embiid was, I don't know, but he was not the number one seed, and it wasn't a big margin like SGA is. So I like the fact that voters value winning than stats, because if that wasn't the case, then Luka could have won last year. Luka averaged 33 points a game while averaging 9 and 9. Nobody that's averaging that many points has ever averaged 9 assists, 9 rebounds ever. But he was a third seed, and that's why he wasn't considered as an MVP. Well, he got votes, but that's why he didn't win because he was a third seed when Jokic and SGA were tied for first. So that's all I have for y'all today, and I'll see y'all next episode. Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all at the next episode.